All he could say was his daughter's the one that stabbed him. Perfect. That her name, he said she lives in the back in the hangar, and that she drives a silver
criminal
Ford.
cases. Some names, details, and events have been altered for privacy and dramatic purposes. While every effort has been made to ensure accuracy, certain information may not be factually verified. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. Some of these cases remain unsolved to this day.
The tragic death of Richard Langer, a Florida family torn apart by violence. Good day, everyone, and welcome back to Murder Mistress. Please, before we continue, do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more deep and factual coverage of true crime stories that continue to haunt communities across America. Every comment, like, and subscription keeps this platform growing and ensures that these stories, these victims, and their truths are never forgotten. In the quiet suburban calm of Florida, what began as an ordinary evening turned into one of unimaginable horror. A 911 call came through to dispatchers. A man's voice, weak but urgent, shaking with pain and panic. "My wife and I have been stabbed," he said. The caller identified himself as Richard Langer, and before the line went silent, he whispered the name of the person responsible. That name was his own daughter. When responding,
he said one of the victims told first responders that his daughter was the culprit and described her car, which officers waste no time locating.
Keep coming.
That is 64, 57, 51 to him.
Turn around. Spin.
officers arrived at the Langer residence. What they encountered was chaos. The front door was unlocked, streaks of blood on the entryway floor, and a faint sound of movement inside. Their body cameras captured every second, the sound of heavy breathing, the flashlights cutting through the dimly lit living room, and the discovery of Richard lying on the floor, barely conscious. He was bleeding heavily from deep stab wounds to his chest and abdomen. His voice was faint, fading, but he managed to repeat the same words to the officers who knelt beside him.
I couldn't hear. What was that?
Is there anything you can tell me about what's happening?
Is there anything what?
That you can tell me about what's happening?
No, the detective won't be talking with you. I don't really have much information.
My daughter did this. In another room, officers found Richard's wife, Patricia Langer, suffering from multiple stab wounds as well. She was alive but unresponsive. Paramedics were called immediately, and both were rushed to the hospital. For Richard, however, it was too late. He passed away shortly after arrival. What the body cam footage captured next was an unfolding nightmare, the search for the suspect. Police quickly established that the alleged attacker was Richard's daughter, a 23-year-old woman named Amanda Langer. Neighbors told officers that Amanda had been living with her parents temporarily after what they described as a rough patch. She had recently lost her job, struggled with mental health, and had a strained relationship with both parents. But no one could have predicted the violence that would follow. According to early reports, Amanda and her parents had been arguing throughout the evening. Neighbors heard shouting, but dismissed it as another family disagreement. Inside, the argument allegedly escalated when Richard confronted Amanda about money that
I don't know if I went back and changed. I guess I did. I put on long dark pants, a jacket, the gloves.
Are those items that are going to be in the washer?
Long dark pants, a jacket, and gloves. You put those on. And then what happened after you
had
put
gone
on?
missing from the home. At some point during the confrontation, investigators say Amanda grabbed a kitchen knife.
On those clothes.
The medical examiner's report would later confirm that Richard sustained multiple stab wounds, some defensive, indicating he tried to protect himself or his wife. Patricia's injuries were severe but not fatal, and she would eventually become the key witness in the case. In the days following the attack, police scoured the neighborhood for Amanda. She had fled the scene before officers arrived, leaving behind blood-stained clothes and a trail of footprints leading into a wooded area near the Langer home. Hours later, a sheriff's deputy spotted a young woman matching Amanda's description walking along a roadside several miles away. When confronted, she appeared dazed, disoriented, and covered in scratches. The deputy's body camera footage shows her calm but distant demeanor as she was handcuffed and taken into custody. During her arrest, Amanda allegedly told officers she did not mean to kill anyone. She claimed she lost control after her father would not stop yelling. But investigators say the crime scene told a much darker story, one of rage, intent, and cold-blooded violence. Inside the home, detectives discovered signs of a struggle. Overturned furniture, shattered glass, and blood spatter across the kitchen floor and walls. The knife used in the attack was recovered from the sink, partially rinsed, as though someone had attempted to wash it before fleeing. Patricia, still hospitalized, gave her first statement days later. She told detectives that the fight had started when Amanda became angry.
No, it's really difficult to talk about some of the stuff that we need to talk about. But I just want you to do the best you can. Don't leave anything out.
Angry
and just
over being asked to move out. She snapped, Patricia said. She just started screaming, then the knife was in her hand, and everything happened so fast. Patricia described how Richard tried to intervene, shielding her from the blows, before being attacked himself. He told her he loved her, even as he fell, Patricia said through tears. As the investigation continued, prosecutors began piecing together Amanda's background. Court records revealed a troubling history of mental instability, including previous police calls for domestic disturbances. Friends described Amanda as sweet but unpredictable, noting her increasing isolation in the weeks leading up to the attack. Police also found social media posts where Amanda hinted at conflict with her parents, writing that nobody listens and everyone blames me. These posts, investigators say, will likely become part of the prosecution's argument to establish motive. In court filings, prosecutors charged Amanda Langer with first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder. They alleged that the attack was premeditated, not a sudden outburst, but a calculated act of violence following days of growing resentment. The defense, however, argues otherwise. Amanda's public defender has stated that she was suffering from a severe mental health crisis, suggesting that her actions were the result of a psychological breakdown rather than intent. They have requested a full psychiatric evaluation, and the court has ordered one pending further hearings. As these legal proceedings move forward, the released body cam footage has become a central piece of the public's understanding of what happened that night. The footage, while deeply disturbing, offers a raw and unfiltered look at the immediate aftermath, the fear, confusion, and desperate attempts to save Richard and Patricia. Law enforcement officials have described this case as a reminder of the growing challenges police face in responding to domestic violence situations involving mental illness. It also highlights the tragedy of families destroyed from within, when the danger comes not from a stranger, but from someone you raised and loved. The footage reveals officers performing CPR, paramedics rushing through the front door, and one officer trying to comfort Richard as his voice fades. "Stay with me, sir. Stay with me," the officer says repeatedly. But by the time the ambulance doors closed, the man who had made that desperate 911 call was gone. In the weeks after Richard's death, the community of Lake County came together to mourn. A memorial was held at the local church, where friends and neighbors remembered Richard as a kind, patient man devoted to his family. Patricia, still recovering, attended the service in a wheelchair, holding a photograph of her late husband. The local pastor spoke quietly during the ceremony, saying, "We often seek to understand why tragedies like this happen, but sometimes the answers never come." The case of Richard Langer continues to unfold in court, with the state preparing to present forensic evidence, 911 audio, and the full contents of the police body cam footage. Legal experts say the case will likely hinge on Amanda's mental competency, whether she can stand trial and whether she understood her actions at the time of the attack. For now,